How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf. There's a quick look. I'm just going over to the gateway on the right, by the way. I just kind of didn't really look at the footage too well. I kind of got ready to start the footage, started the truck up, remembered to pan the camera down, so there's a hope in hell any of us can read the mission in the top right when it's kind of got the yard backdrop rather than a white/blue sky. Yeah, basically, I'm going to go and do the mission called Repair the Repair Station, which is to unlock the repair station on the other map, which I didn't realise until yesterday, I think, or the day before, that I even needed to fix it up. For this one, you need 4 vehicle spare parts, and they're actually where that bridge is, the railway bridge on by the lake, kind of in the bottom right. There's like a temporary unloading area or something. I've got to go and grab 4 vehicle spare parts from there, and then take them to the the repair station, the reparation. I don't know what the hell I was going to say then. Yeah, and I picked the Phoenix for this one. A couple of reasons, to be honest. I wanted a vehicle that was quite quick. It was, in theory, going to be a relatively simple mission. 4 lots, just grabbing 4 lots of vehicle spare parts. Again, some of it, like once I'm on the next map, was highway driving for half of it. The next bit wasn't exactly crazy, so yeah, I wanted something pretty rapid. I thought if I took something like Steve or the Zix or whatever, they'll certainly handle it fine, but it will just happen at a slower pace for no apparent reason, really. Whereas now I could get it done and still have time for a bit of messing around. Yeah, like for example now, in fairness, my brother had just got back, so I was having a quick chat with him just as I started filming. That's why I wasn't paying attention when I was getting the footage, and I just kind of yabba dabba dooed out of the yard before I even remembered to look. But the good news is I'm only going to the gateway. It's not really particularly complicated, although I seem to be yeah, making it more so. So driving over the middle of that rock probably wasn't the best idea. I will say though, the Phoenix, I like this truck a lot. I've had it, funnily enough, I had it ready in the garage recently. I've nearly used it loads of times, and earlier when I looked I was like, where the bloody hell is it? I eventually remembered where it is. I've smashed it up. It's near the that movie star trailer. I think that's on this playthrough anyway, or if not, it has gone. I'll have to I'll have to investigate now, because I didn't even go and check. I just assumed I'd remembered. Yeah, so instead I went and bought another one. Yeah, I do quite like this truck, but it's not the most useful. For example, when I left the I don't know, garage and kind of parked it up ready to do the video, before I got the loaf in or the trailer, I kind of thought, actually, I might go and use I'll get the crane as well, and then use the step deck, and I can put the loaf on the step deck bit. I'll have enough cargo. And it was only because I just mentioned the other day, really, that the step deck catches a bit more than it used to, so I figured I'll give it a go. It's kind of a good excuse to do a bit of off-roading and all sorts with it. And then yeah, this is one thing I don't like about the Phoenix though, is its add-on options are pretty limited, and it limits itself even more, because then when you put the crane on, it won't let you have any kind of sideboard. But yeah, it'll only have a saddle high, so that kind of scrapped that plan. Yeah, so I just went back to the garage again. Well, I was already in it when I realised I couldn't get the saddle high, so yeah, scrapped that idea, put the sideboard back on, stuck the loaf in there. That's what she said. Yeah, and just a ramped flatbed. Now I'm on, yeah, by the lake. And like I said, for the first part, it's basically highway driving the whole way. I was thinking I could use a highway truck, but I was in the mood to, for the most part, just drop the hammer a little bit. I took the Ford Click 9000 out the other day, and that was that made things take a little longer than expected. Yeah, again, the funny thing is the amount of attempts at scanning over the route I'm taking. I had about 8 different clips that I just deleted because I kept scanning, forgetting what I was doing, and thinking, oh, the footage isn't clean enough, I'll do it again. And then by the time I actually did it properly, I kind of did it a little bit too cleanly and just panned over it pretty quick. But essentially, from the gateway all the way down to the bridge, or 95% of it near enough, just at the last minute, I have to take a little kind of off-road track. But yeah, we're basically sticking to the highway all the way down there. And then yeah, I was kind of, in theory, the plan was just to circle round, kind of, yeah, because the bridge is a bit iffy. But at the minute, though, in high gear, one thing I will say, well, I forgot to say a minute ago, I think it was why I kind of drove over them rocks. Even though this thing's got rear steer, every now and then it sort of, I don't know, it kind of makes the actual front wheels steering kind of pretty shallow, and yeah, sometimes it, like, overall the steering's good. Sometimes I'd even say when you're driving along, you have to get a little bit used to the fact that the back end will step out pretty quickly. But yeah, every now and then it also does kind of understeer a bit more than you were hoping for. Especially, again, because you're kind of relying, well, I believe the front 2 axles steer, and at least one of the rears steer, if not both of them. But yeah, if you kind of perched on a hill a bit, there's not necessarily all your wheels contacting, and at that point, each axle doesn't actually steer a hell of a lot. But I do still like the truck. It's got a very lenient high gear. It's got a nice pace to it. It's actually got, considering it's quite a modern truck, they've still got a pretty good option of, like, you can replace the front bumper with, essentially, it kind of deletes the bottom half of the front bumper. It's actually something like that. Would be very nice if they give Bruce that option, get rid of his massive chin. I doubt they ever will, because he'd just be too much of a beast if his chin was missing. But I still wouldn't say no. Yeah, well, at the minute, it's pretty similar. See, this is why, like, I'm certainly not anti-highway driving. I actually like that they've catered to it to some degree in this map. But yeah, it's a little bit on the sort of squeeze the throttle. All is good as long as I don't hit something on the road and all the rest of it. And yeah, I was looking for a mission to do yesterday. I honestly fell asleep on my sofa yesterday. Not for very long, but I had this weirdest dream, for one. And, yeah, I very rarely actually fall asleep. I normally get very close. That's usually how it goes. But I think since the clocks have gone back, it has knocked me out like a beast. Especially, I don't mean knock me out, like knock me out of whack. Yeah, because now it's getting darker. No, it gets lighter later. So normally when I'm editing and it's getting light, I'm thinking, right, I've got a couple of hours or whatever, and now it's like, Jesus Christ, I should have gone to bed. Yes, that's been throwing me out. In the end, yeah, this really weird dream where there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex in my house. The weird thing was, I don't normally have a dream about, like, my actual house where I live. It's always some weird, obscure dream. I don't know why Tyrannosaurus Rexes keep coming into it. I didn't even really particularly have many dinosaur related toys as a kid or anything. I just, for some reason, I've seen Jurassic Park and it's stuck. But yeah, and there was a wolf. I didn't even think of it. It's obviously my channel name. Yeah, I think my brother had let a wolf in and I had to kill it, and I won. At least I was Johnny Rockhard in his dream. Mr. Own Wolf, to give it the L. But yeah, and that was, I don't know. And then, like I said, there was a Tyrannosaurus Rex running out. The weird thing was, though, there was like some weird fourth wall sarcastic criticism of the dream going on every now and then. Well, it was weird. It was like a multi-layered odd one. But yeah, anyway, we've made it here, so that's enough of that. And here, by the way, I didn't actually have to drive around this thing. I could have just turned around. I remembered before I loaded the cargo to actually turn around, just to save trying to turn the trailer around once it's on. This is a good example. You see how, like, my 2 middle axles are effectively, like, perched on the brow of this little snow hill. And yeah, the front and the rear axle aren't actually getting a lot of contact. So the steering suddenly goes really light, and hence why it took 2 or 3, I think, attempts to miss that tree. Whereas in theory, the steering would be more than enough. And then yeah, this is like this temporary unloading section, or whatever it's called. Funny thing is, I was scanning through and I thought, right, vehicle spare parts, there's only 8, so just be careful. And then I started mashing the X button and realised, oh yeah, I'm not even on the trailer. It's a good job I didn't just, like, if it was on a loading platform, I would have spawned one, and then probably wouldn't be the end of the world, but you know what I mean. Here's a quick look. Like, this is the route I was going to go. So I had to slow that down by like 4 times or something, just because I was, yeah, looked at it. Long story short, I was supposed to go off to the right now, but I couldn't resist the attempt. There was also the saving cogs happened at the perfect time. So yeah, I went for it. I thought, right, we'll see if I can fit through the bridge, and then yeah, there's horrifically accurate flashbacks to when I tried to lose my virginity when I was about 16. It went about similarly. I thought, right, we'll give it another go. Don't give up yet. Yeah, basically, you should be able to fit through this bridge. but there's some kind of like invisible hitbox on the side, and it only lets pretty narrow trucks through. And well, you can see like the front of the Phoenix made it through, and how hard I just had to fight the urge to say the head of the Phoenix went through was yeah, pretty monumental. But we kept giving it a go. Yeah, in the end, I was like, well, it just ain't gonna happen. Yeah, it basically, the Phoenix technically could. I think if I had no side, it's the sideboard. I don't know if a normal stock one would fit. I think it's going to be ridiculously tight either way. That's what she said, but this is true. So yeah, I had to settle on a 69 for an oral boost. Cheer us both up. Yeah, thankfully the trailer is the only good thing about this. Even though I haven't got the dolly axle, because the bridge was narrow enough, the trailer didn't really have much choice to go backwards, at least until I was out the bridge. And even luckier, I don't know, it was pointing the right way, so to speak. I was originally intending to go further around, and then I realised I could honk at that tree, drive by, scare it, drive off the rocks, and then, yeah, at this point the bridge, I wasn't even like particularly in a rush like that, but I did want to bring the Phoenix because I wanted to drop the hammer and all the rest of it, so yeah, I dropped the hammer, kept it pinned and see how it went. And again, one thing I like about the Phoenix is this game has a slight habit. I don't even want to say it like that because it's an off-road game, it sort of makes sense, but as you're bouncing around you tend to dig into something, it kind of eats your momentum a bit. Yeah, this truck is very good for you just put it in high gear and squeeze the throttle, and it's pretty rare it'll ever kick you out of high gear really. It'll often, even if you bleed practically all your speed, probably in a lot of cases even pretty much get stopped. Not only some vehicles will, but they'll just wheel spin. This actually has, maybe not with like some particularly heavy cargo on the back, but it does have a decent chance of actually like wheel spinning back up to speed and you just fire off. Yeah, in high speed again, which is one thing that I've always liked about the truck. That's why I like this one, say, over the Tatra Force, which, there's a few things I remember though what I don't like the Tatra Force. I don't know if they've fixed it, and I appreciate the attempt, but it's a bit like the forklift, it's a bit overcomplicated anyway. But that boom lift thing, recovery thing that you can put down and drive a truck on, and in theory you're supposed to like pinch its wheels and lift it up like a wrecker type recovery truck, it doesn't work very well. It doesn't lift a lot of stuff, it's awkward, and then when you drive off it often just pops out of them anyway. They need to do the equivalent of like, just make them plates, or even if they're like still sort of say two metal bars and you kind of drive over them and drop your wheel in the middle, they just need the ability to click pack vehicle, and it just packs the front and like locks them in place. That'd make it a lot more usable, but other than that it's just a slower version of this anyway. But yeah, we got to this point, I got stuck on this tree. Yeah, it's not even caught on my front two axles, I believe it's caught on my fuel tank. Strictly speaking, as I'm looking now, I can see the road does kind of technically go round the trees, so they probably put this here as some kind of like trap. It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I tried winching to the tree on the right, it was not really having too much of it. Tried to sort of trick it-ish, and it kind of worked to be fair, because I think it got the fuel tank over the tree. Sort of did a winch slightly behind me, so it sort of pulled me back into the side a little bit. Kind of lifted the fuel tank. Yeah, now, by some miracle though, the front axle of the trailer actually got over it without catching. It's those rails along the side of the trailer that are catching now, which are the same ones, for example, in the gameplay and review videos when I go up the quarry hill. A lot of the time I end up taking a ramp flatbed. It's those rails at the side that kind of beach as I'm going over the peaks of the first and second hill, and the third really. Yeah, they're a little bit kind of anti-off-roading. But that's what's catching on that tree. A few more winches firing out and all the rest of it. At this point I was sort of thinking, yeah, I'm just going to floor it, like, even though it's getting a bit dark, put my lights on. We should be good. And then I realised, actually, I can't remember when I last saved the footage. So, I panicked, I stopped, I honked the horn, saved the footage, turned it to daytime, which I'm actually glad I did. And we're off again. So yeah, this was like the slightly longer way around. Here's that movie set thing going on, where they've got a boat. called again? Snail something. 13. Something. Unless it's in reference to something I'm not sure about. Then yeah, I think they could have picked a slightly better name. But anyway, the rail tracks kind of behind me was the other side of the bridge that I would have liked to have popped out on. Yeah, and then I just kind of figured at this point I may as well follow the train tracks anyway, because it just makes most sense. I knew if I could get, I don't know why I can't talk as usual, get into high gear, drop the hammer. To be fair, these rails, yeah, they're not that ruthless on this. I remember on, I think it was Wisconsin, they were particularly, had a bit of a sharpness to them. A few of the maps have. These are relatively forgiving. They do hook your tyres a little bit, but this has only got like 48-inch tyres anyway, which aren't actually that massive. I was looking at this point, not really paying attention. I've got a sunroof, but I've got no rear view mirror. I wanted to look at the loaf via a mirror. Yeah, got a bit off-roady. I think I hit a tree. Had to swerve around a little bit again. Just the level of attention I'm able to produce at the minute. I was kind of looking, not really realising I'm still in a first-person view. I'm just going for it. Oh yeah, someone did say as well. In fact, can I click? YouTube will let me. That the Tatras are for sale, even though we're sort of in the, well, in theory it's given as like the American selection of trucks, but it's funny because we're actually in Europe, which would technically be more the Russian selection. But yeah, I noticed it as well, but yeah, I appreciate them saying, hang on. It was Kenneth Russ. Yeah, cheers for letting us know. I do still read the comments, I just, yeah. Even just opening it then, it was like, oh, phone's froze, wait a few seconds. Yeah, we got here though. Mission payout's pretty terrible really. Again, it doesn't really matter, but they assume that the repair station is the gift. Yeah, so I thought, right, I'll test it out. This truck, I mean, this is how lazy you can get with when you're just used to the loaf, you just fire things out like a tentacle from the thing. Just at the last second, I remembered I've smashed this vehicle up completely. Well, the game assisted, it got me most of the way there. I finished it off though. So yeah, at the last second, I didn't want to repair it. And I don't really know why I was doing this, but I did. Well, I sort of do actually. It's because it was a repair station, so I crashed into the Tatra, but then I forgot to look if the Tayga was fixed or what was going on. So then I hit the Tayga again and realised it fixing me and then damaging the engine when I hit the Tayga. So yeah, that's like, right, I'll reverse, just triple check just in case. Well, this guy in the Falcon can't drive to save his life, but we've got a goddamn horse with us. I think it was one of them like 81 damage or something. I was pretty happy with that. I think it was the previous one. So yeah, took an even longer run up. I went so far back, even the game footage was like, nope, we're not entertaining this ridiculousness. And then bam, 69. I was like, yep, that's the one. That's how you finish. See, cross that bridge when we come to it. That's how it's done. And then now, well, I started rolling backwards. See, sometimes you've got to think outside the box to get back in the box, whichever way gets you there. Yeah, I kind of randomly got in the Tayga, started flying around the yard, crashing into everything. Again, there wasn't really any reason. I wasn't even particularly doing it for a video. It was just while I was editing, I kind of was looking at the end. Well, there was a few things. It was nice once I was reversing. It was a good example of like, the Tayga's good for you. You just squeeze the throttle and it keeps spinning the front end round. Just wanted to make sure that this thing was officially damaged. I'm pretty sure I have got everything on naught, but for science. And look at the turning circle. I know there is no point to this, by the way. The mission is over. I sort of don't consciously remember even getting this footage myself, so I was just watching it back. It's like, is this what I do? Is this why it takes me forever? to make a bloody video, because things like this happen. And important things. I was going to now, sounds dodgy, but give it a good yank and let it come flying past me. But the game ruined it because the physics keep locking. But I have done it before, where, yeah, in theory, timed it right, it would have gone bouncing past me. And then I got in the loaf. Oh, that is all I was going to hit the loading bay or whatever it's pretending to be. Yeah, bit of reverse. And now look, it's for parallel parking. Oh my god, look at damn professional. That was nice. And yeah, again, see, now I'm off in the loaf. This is loaf training in action. Bit of reverse, stick it in low so we can go forward again immediately. Back into auto and we're off. I'm going to ram a trailer. And then just for my own amusement, I stuck a winch to the Phoenix to zombie winch it to move the trailer a little bit because it was hooked on that big spool of wire. Then I had another run up with the loaf, and then the game kept trying to say I couldn't winch to the Phoenix, but I had faith. Like, no game. That's the one. See? Just a bit of loaf training, that's all the game needed. Yeah, about 8th time lucky. It fired a winch to the Phoenix. It wasn't liking it when I was driving him forwards. It'll drag me to the station. 69 fuel, but he was paying attention. Yeah, I had to stick it in reverse. That's what she said. And again, there wasn't really any point to this other than, say I had run out of fuel, but I had an autonomous winch maybe, I don't know. He was dragging me back to the thing anyway, without me having to move. Over Scranning, that's what that sign said, I agree. Get yourself a loaf, that's probably Welsh. Oh yeah, and just lastly, because I did find the footage, and before I lose it and forget where the hell it is again, if you remember on the previous video, something Tinseltown where I had to fix the sign, the loaf, on the exploration video, Steve crashed. The loaf was obviously having a rest at the time. Yeah, but I switched back to them. The loaf managed to escape, because he is a goddamn professional, which was good, because I was about to cause an animation on the sign that might have him in the footage. Right, the footage starts in a second. I couldn't... Remember when I said, hey, I just thought, right, I'll save the footage. I honked the horn, and the loaf jumped out the ground and rolled onto its side. That's how I got to that point. I was like, what the hell is this game doing to me? Yeah, but anyway, bit of extra messing around at the end, but that is about it for today though. I hope you enjoyed, I hope that helps. Thanks for watching, get yourself a loaf because he's a beast, and I'll be back soon.